I'm here with Pastor Phil Hubbard, lead pastor of C3 Church, London, a busy city, a full city, a frenetic city, I think, in some ways. But Phil, you and Lucy lead together as a married couple. You're pastoring a growing church in one of the world's most frenetic cities, one of the world's biggest cities, great financial center, great trade center. How do you actually balance the call to be in ministry sacrificially with the need also to have a life outside church and also to have something that's personally fulfilling? How do you do that in your role?
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks for having me. Yeah, look, I mean, part of living in London is we that's why we live here. We love that kind of balance, the access to Europe, the access to kind of all the amusement park that is holidaying in Europe and travel and all those sort of things. And so, I remember someone saying to us when we became lead pastors was like, "Oh, I guess that's all your travel now done." And we were like, "Why? Why why would we do that to ourselves? Just stepping into ministry doesn't mean that you then throw out who you are." I think it's Ecclesiastes says that we work towards our appetites to feed our appetites, but our soul goes hungry. I think as ministers and leaders, we've got to be looking after you got to be looking after yourself, your marriage, your family, number one, because if your soul is healthy,
Mm.
then your church will be healthy. So we've always maintained having great holidays, going away.
Mm.
We're leading a church where we have a lot of expats and internationals in London, and for many young Christians who come to London, they're not necessarily coming to be part of church. They're coming to travel for 2 years, and so we get that. We did that. I did that to my predecessor. I did that to Simon and Valerie. We were away on the weekend because we were traveling somewhere, but that was that's the beauty of it, and it enriches you. And so we set that. I think we set that example for our people too. Is that you
That's
can
great.
you can you can build a church, you can be a minister, you can be a leader, you can be an influence, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to grind you to the bone. If you feed yourself.
And I think obviously the UK and Europe, for an Australian, everything in Europe is so close compared to, and I'm living in Perth, which is one of the most isolated cities in the world. We have to
Yeah,
get on a plane for hours to get to somewhere, whereas from London, man, you can be in so many different parts of Europe so quickly. I love your approach to that of saying, hey, I got opportunities to do other things. So what sort of practical boundaries have you established to make sure that your marriage is protected, and also your own personal spiritual health, that you're not exhausted, to then be able to give time and attention not only to your wife, but also to your own well-being of your walk with Jesus? What sort of boundaries have you put in place?
yeah. So I guess from a very practical point of view, like Lucy has a full-time career as well as obviously my balancing
Mm.
kind of leading church and kind of I'm in a communications role for See Through Church Global as well. So we're both busy and full-time and growing a church. So we've put in place and tried to maintain that our Saturdays are very sacred. So a
Mm.
specific day for us, and it would be, we would have the goal of 52 Saturdays a year having nothing on.
Love
That's
it.
that's
Yeah.
our day to spend with each other. And look, that's we don't do that perfectly, but that is the
Yeah.
goal. And our we've communicated that to our team, to our leaders. Is we will, if you want to run an event on a Saturday, like absolutely go for it, but we will likely not be there. Because
Yeah.
we have to maintain that time for ourselves. To enjoy each other, to spend some quality time, to whatever, go to the movies, or but
Mm.
also I think setting aside times of rest and holiday vacation, like we were saying, kind of having some
Mm.
time away. We've got Europe as our playground, so having a weekend away and having some days away, and setting that aside and planning that into our yearly schedule, not thinking about it as a secondary thing, but having it there as a primary part of our rhythm. And a part of that is that we running a church in London, but we have family in Australia. So part of our longevity as pastors is that we've committed, as much as that might be a expensive thing, is that we would go home and we'd see our family in Australia once a year, because it refreshes us. And it
Good.
allows us health and longevity and vibrancy ongoing, that we would have connection with family and friends back in Australia. So we know we're called here, and the faith is for London, and we're not going anywhere, but we also have beautiful family and friendships in Australia, and so that for us fills our tank,
Mm.
and so it's important that we put that in place.
Feeling stuck as a church leader? Growing your church doesn't have to be overwhelming. The Hub gives you step by step roadmaps to grow a healthy church in just 20 minutes a day. Join the hundreds of church leaders who found their breakthrough by accessing my 4 decades of ministry experience, which delivers genuine results. Start your free 14-day trial today at growahealthychurch.com/hub. I think there's some great tips there, pastors, for you. Saturday, Sacred Family Day. I was talking to a group of young leaders last night and said exactly the same thing. Keep Saturday as your family day. Set it aside. It's so important. And I think that attention to holidays, attention to breaks, so important, I think, to help avoid burnout. Now, you took over a church. You became the lead pastor. 2020, thought, hey, we're on a roll here. We're going to go well. Pandemic hits. In a city like London, so many expats, they just skedaddle. So you kind of almost had to rebuild from the scratch. How would you define success in ministry, Phil?
Yeah, look, it's a big question, isn't it?
Mm,
But I think I'd lean into Paul there, where he says, I'm in anguish until Christ is formed in you.
mm,
Our role as pastors and leaders is to act, as our the Lord is our shepherd, we are shepherds leading people towards those green pastures and those still waters, but ultimately, like, to lead people to be formed in Christ. And so everything that we do is that. It's not, the event is secondary, the service is secondary, your systems, your structures, all those things are secondary. I think we can have a lot of measures there that guide our success. And absolutely, I'm all for statistics and measures, and the measure of health, and kind of putting on the heart monitor to the church, and seeing all those kind of
mm.
numbers are in the right place. But ultimately, it's the formation of people into Christ, and that is harder to measure.
Yeah, it really is. And I think you're right. I think you need to have some sort of metrics dashboard that you're looking at. Probably not looking at every week, even, to be honest with you. I think the key metrics you can look at maybe 3 times a year to get the trends, maybe 4 times every 3 months and get the trends in the field. But it's really that qualitative content that you're looking for in discussions with people and your leaders, to get that sense of how are people walking with Jesus? Are they connected with the Lord? And I think that can really help you, Pastor. And Pastor, if today, church leader, you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and a bit exhausted, I've got a video for you coming up next, how to stop feeling overwhelmed as a pastor right now, because we want to last long-term in ministry. Phil's been in ministry 5 years as a pastor, starting out on his journey, doing brilliantly. I've been going for 4 decades, and I'm still standing as I age. But you can also, I think, stand for the long haul. Phil, been great having you on the YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us today, and giving us those real practical ways to make sure that we stay healthy on the journey.
No, thanks for having me, John, and hope that this conversation's a blessing to so many pastors and leaders out there.